Well, good morning and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Based, and joining me is the president of the Bermuda Equestrian Federation, Ms. Makisha Smith, better known as Keisha.
Thank you.
Well, let me first say, last night we attempted to do this interview. Unfortunately, Mother Nature with technology didn't always work out well, but I'm glad we got this chance to chat about the Welcome Home show that will take place on Saturday and Sunday at Botanical Gardens. One of the things, Keisha, is this was done back, I believe, in 2016 or 2017.
2011, we started this show.
It was 2011?
Yes. Yep. When Island Stats was live streaming for us. Yes.
That's right. What, it was that long ago?
Yes.
I said, oh my gracious, yeah, that was just after. Okay, 2011.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
11 years ago.
It's been busy. Yeah. It's nuts. Yeah.
So at that point, 11 years ago, we had the likes of Patrick Nisbet come back. You had Jillian Tissera come back. You had Rayshawn Birch come back, as well as Kaiwan Miners.
Yes.
And I think that those, with their experiences of being away, being in competition, it drew a lot of people who were not necessarily into horse jumping or anything to do with equestrian. It drew them because, big name people were around. So bringing this particular event back, I know it was your baby back then, it's your baby again. I mean, along with your committee, but give us a sense of what it's been like this time around as opposed to that time 11 years ago.
Yeah, so again, we developed this concept called the Welcome Home Show, right? Because we had the likes of Jillian Tissera and Patrick Nisbet, who were actually competing overseas. They still are, right? They're in Europe, and they were, again, getting ready for the Olympics or big Pan Am Games or whatever.
Mhm.
And me as a child, I know them, right? Because they're like some close in age, and we would have rode together locally, right? So it was a time where of course the demographic changed as far as the makeup of the equestrian community, and it was, do they even really know these folks, and how do we then fundraise for people that we don't necessarily know, right?
Mhm.
So the premise and the impetus for this was that it was we would welcome them home, right, to give back, right, for also the them to give back to our local equestrian community, coach and clinic, give clinics to our young riders.
Mhm.
And then people are more inclined, okay, now I can put a face to a name. I would be happy to fundraise, right? Or I would donate, etc. So that was the premise. And that first year was really the concept, really everything that we wanted it to be, it was and more, right? We invited, as you indicated, Kai Miners as well as Rayshawn Birch, and they led teams, right,
Mhm.
of local riders over jumping courses, right? And obviously the team with the least amount of faults at the end of the 2 days were the winners, right? And it was Kai. Kai holds that holds that status. And so over the years, we did some local stuff, every other year, etc. The last time we had this show was 2019, and it was at the National Equestrian Center. And again, we invited Rayshawn and Patrick back. We
Mhm.
did do two local coaches as leaders or team leads, because
Mhm.
you can imagine these animals are precious to people, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's always a bit of a challenge for us to have folks lend their horses to the riders, even though they're great riders, right?
right,
You
right.
just never know with a horse, right?
Mhm.
Anything can happen, right? So we started to have a challenge with getting horses for these riders
Yeah,
to compete on over the weekend. And I mean, these guys are professionals, right? They can pretty much get on a horse and make it happen, and they don't necessarily need to know the horse. So that
right.
was the last time in 2019, and it was Philip Correa whose team
Yes.
out out by the slightest of seconds beat Patrick's team. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this time around, another 2-day event. What has been the response from the local community as far as, especially in the equestrian community, in getting out. I see that you're looking to do a bit of a multitude of different equestrian events
Yep.
over the course. And I know you setting it up pretty much how you would have done the exhibition had that been on. So tell us a little bit about how the days will materialize, with events.
Sure. So, again, we planned this to have this show again 2 years ago, right? And we normally do it in December. And of course, COVID, we kept pushing out because of the numbers and, as far as how many people we can have, et cetera, which was always, a bit of a challenge for us because people showed up to this show, right?
Yes.
If it's one equestrian event that we got a multitude of people, it was this, right? So we kept pushing the show out, and we were due to have it in May of this year. We said, okay, let's push it out to May, and then we got notice that there would not be an agriculture exhibition, an ag show. And so, in consulting with the committee, said, guys, why don't we push our show forward and actually change the format this year, right?
Mhm.
And really just take the ag show schedule, the equestrian events, and modify the schedule to because there's a 3-day schedule that we needed to fit into 2 days, right?
Yes.
So we tweaked it a bit. We have most of the ag show classes, but we have some other elements as well that are more fun. We do tend to push the envelope when it comes to the status quo. We don't necessarily just do what we normally do at a horse show.
Hmm.
We create some new things and fun things, right? So over the 2 days, we're gonna see the horse jumping, right, in the afternoons, which is normally one of the exciting events. The driving, which is just the elegance of the
Hmm.
horses and the hats, and it just it's a beautiful to watch. And also Western classes. So Mike Watson is, the Western connoisseur on island. So
Hmm.
he's, him and his group of horses and riders will be there, and riding classes, right? So it was one of those things where, I ride, so I'm always at the barn, and there are kids there, and they have their own ponies or horses, and they've never experienced ag show, right, or
Hmm.
exhibition.
Hmm.
And that said to me, every kid should experience exhibition, right? Especially if you have, if you're riding and you're a pretty good rider. Because going to the exhibition as I was, as a kid, that
Yeah.
was the show of the year,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So again, we wanted to make sure we, had them have give that to them so they can experience it, right? And so it's going to be great. It's again 2 day show, 3-day show condensed into two, but again, some great classes. The equestrian community are super excited for this. I mean, like I said, this show and the brand that it holds is strong, right?
Mm.
People people look forward to the Walk of
Right.
Fame show. And this now with having it, the entries for classes are some of the classes are through the roof, right? 20 plus entries
Right.
per class, some of the classes. And so it's going to be exciting. The
Yeah.
weather, I hope it holds up. I think it shall, and should be a great weekend.
Sure. Who now for the jumping part? Who's the course designer?
Ian Truitt.
Okay.
So again, Ian is normally the ag show course
Yeah.
designer, and we reached out to him, and without question, he said, "Yep, sure." And again, he's following in the footsteps of his father, Peter Turin, who we lost
Hmm.
in the equestrian community now a couple of years. So yeah, he has the tracks laid, and as you know, Ian is the CEO of a bank, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Very
made the
creative.
time.
Very.
He's made the time, right? On the weekend, he was marking out the track at the showgrounds. And what's
Right.
exciting too, we're back at Botanical Gardens, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of where we've had a couple, but the last show, the 2019, was at NEC, and we have to have it at Botanical Gardens if we're having the driving, right? Because you can't really
Hmm.
drive on the sand. So that's also exciting, and we've been working with the Parks Department. They have been amazing
Right.
in getting the grounds ready, and they're very accommodating. They've helped tremendously. As you can imagine, the grounds, weren't necessarily, ready for
Yeah.
purpose, right? Or fit for purpose. And over the last 2-3 months, they have worked tirelessly to get the grounds to the level that we needed it to be
Yeah.
for the show.
One
So
of the
just
things a lot of people don't realize, it's being inside that arena where the competition takes place is very unique because the horses don't always get to see that
no,
closed in, the trees
and
so
it's not
close
very
in,
big.
and it's right, and it's not that. So um, usually there's a practice round of sorts where the riders get to take the horses in there, get them familiar with just a few jumps here and there,
Yeah.
not be as aggressive, just to give them a familiarity round, I guess. Did you have that this time around?
Thanks, Earl. Just put it out there, right? So unfortunately, we didn't, right? We didn't. And as you indicate, it's the horses don't get to the botanical gardens that often, if at all, other than the ag
Mhm,
show. And there is normally a practice jumping round, a practice round. You folks can go there and ride around and get the horse familiar. Unfortunately, we did not offer that this year. So because the park was getting ready, right?
mhm,
The arena needed to be seated and whatnot, right? So we did not want to necessarily I guess not damage, but we didn't want to disturb that process,
mhm.
right? So we did get that request. You can imagine. It's funny, right? You put grass underneath a horse, and people are like, "Oh my God, I need to practice," right? And so, unfortunately, some people are, quite nervous. And horses, as you indicate, they're animals, right? They have
Mhm.
feelings. They and the energy, right? Energy of, the ag show or the welcome home show will have flags. All of
Yeah,
these things, all of these elements, these horses are not used to seeing. But guess what? It's gonna be the survival of the fittest.
that's what
This
I was
is
gonna say.
yeah, this is when you basically demonstrate, "Can I ride? Can I really,
Right,
really ride?" Because
right.
horses tend to, once you take them off property, they get a little what we call up.
Mhm.
And, a little, again, just their new surroundings, right? So they're trying to figure out things themselves. So, but yeah, you have to, yeah. Unfortunately, no practice round, Earl.
Which should
It
make it
was
very eventful
absolutely
for rider and horse because there's new things around. I mean, people get used to the white fences at the NES, NEC.
NEC. Yeah,
Yeah, the rider gets used to certain. I'm jumping in this direction, so I like that. The sun's here. I know what time it is, and all of that.
yeah,
They actually have to get used to something new as well, and it's who can actually calm themselves down enough
correct.
to do that. So
Yeah,
that could be very very exciting to see that horse or pony and rider relationship
correct.
in that
And the
ring.
small and the smaller they are, the badder they are. Let's just
Yeah,
put it
oh
like
yeah.
the the ponies, oh gosh, people are, "Oh, that horse is so big. Oh my gosh." The
Uh-huh.
ponies are the ones you gotta watch for. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's always, we ensure that obviously everyone stays safe and we have the
Mhm.
judge in the ring and a ring steward to help. I've been ring steward for a few times at the exhibition and, have had to watch little ponies start to wind up, right? And have to say, okay, let me just keep an eye on that one. And you
Mhm.
just kind of pull them aside because you also, when they wind up, you don't want them to just, they set off the other horses and ponies,
Right,
right?
right, right,
So,
right.
as a ring steward, you kind of have to be able to manage that, have line of sight to it and be able to
Mhm.
react to
Sure.
again keep
So
people safe.
yeah. So the arena will be set up just as if it was the ag show.
Yes.
Flags,
Yes.
uh,
Tents.
or tent.
Oh yeah. So again,
Will the seating be covered as well?
so no, again, this is a smaller element, a smaller
Yeah.
event. The grandstand, we do have the grandstand covered, and that's because we have sponsors, right? And we're
Yes.
inviting sponsors to that. We do have the bleachers and whatnot. Unfortunately, there we haven't, utilized tents for that.
Mhm.
But we do have a tent also for the horse area, obviously to keep horses out of the elements, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but no, but there's plenty of bleachers and bankside.
Oh yeah, the
And we
backside is
welcome
best.
everybody. Yeah, the Bankside is the bank,
Yeah.
when I rode as a kid, that Bankside was full, right? And it was electric, right? And
Yeah.
again, when you rode, back then, you really had to ride at the ag show,
Mhm.
right? That was the creme de la creme of horse season.
Sure, sure. So what time are we starting on both days?
So we're starting at 9 a.m. Again, I think Saturday will be a little longer than Sunday.
Mhm.
But again, there's a mix of things both days. And really, we always end with the jumping classes because the arena has to be clear for the riding classes and whatnot,
Right,
and the
right,
driving. And then, at the end of the day, we chuck the jumps in. Towards the end of the day, where they're show jumping, and that's the exciting part, right? It's
right.
it's not, it's all exciting. Let me just be clear.
Yes.
But the show jumping, I'm always amazed, and I've been riding for a long, long time. But and then when I watch it, especially at the highest level, I'm always amazed at these animals and what makes them think they can, you know, canter down to a jump and actually go over it. And
Right.
sometimes, at the highest level, these jumps are, 6 feet, right? So it's like
Mhm.
taller than those horses, right? So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So who are some of the favorites in the classes? I know we're gonna see the likes of
Right.
uh, Gila Barnett, who just won a division in Wellington,
Yep.
Florida. She's back.
Yep.
Is Cody Rigo coming back? Is what? Who can electrify? I know the excitement amongst the equestrian family.
Yes.
They'll be excited to see people back. I noted that Taiwan Waldron is on island and so
Yes.
forth. So you
Talking to
know,
him last night. Yep.
yeah.
So
So who are
yeah, so
some of
as you indicate, right? We have our younger riders. They're young adults now. They're not juniors anymore, except Cody.
the?
Cody unfortunately is not going to be back. He obviously has his commitments with
Yes.
the barn that he works for and rides for in the states. But Kayla, as you indicate, is back, and she's going to be riding her horse that she's done very well on over the last few years.
Hmm.
And she's going to do a multitude of classes and obviously some show jumping because that's kind of
Hmm.
her and her horse's niche. Kai is back. Kai is going to be driving, and I think the Random Stables, and of course the driving. I mean, the driving is just the elegance, right? And we have a good amount of driving horses on the island now. Over the
Yeah.
pandemic, we've had a few folks invest in that area of the sport, and those classes are gonna be well supported, right? But really, I mean, the show jumping is, really at the end of the day, and you have the likes of Philip Correa who,
Yeah.
kind of dominates a certain level. But
Hmm.
hopefully he gets some competition this weekend. Jada is back from
I,
school and she's
I,
gonna ride my horse.
I was just gonna
uh,
say, Miss
yeah.
Aggressive. Just those two have the same style of aggressiveness, knowing
Yeah,
their horses and
yeah,
just like to attack the course. So that should be
absolutely.
very interesting.
Yeah, and I bought the horse from Patrick a few
Hmm.
years ago now, and I'm still learning the horse, but he gets on really well with Jada, and like you said, aggressive attack, and but at that age, you're fearless. I'm too old to fall off, right? So, but I say I've conceded to the fact that the horse actually I think likes her better than me, so that's
Uh,
fine. I'm fine. It's fine. So yeah.
Your name goes down as just Irma to
Yeah.
the right.
Financier, treat
Yeah.
lady, and owner. Yeah, that's it. That's all I am. Uh,
Well, I want to wish you all the best. We'll be in attendance over the 2 days, so
Thank
we're looking forward to some exciting stuff. Not just the jumping, but all the facets of equestrianism will be
you. Yeah,
out for these 2 days, and I think it's an opportunity for people that don't normally get down to the National Equestrian Center to
Botanical
witness some of the
Gardens. Oh, well, yeah,
I
yeah,
know, yeah, that don't normally get down to the
yeah,
National Equestrian Center to watch
yeah.
any one of the many events in equestrian to go to the botanical gardens on Saturday and Sunday to actually see. And it's another opportunity for people to bring out their young kids and experience the the equestrian side of the exhibition because
Yes.
that can go on now.
And I
And
think, we have vendors as well, right? So it's
okay,
yeah, so again, we've had an outreach from vendors, right, that want to get involved and so again, it's not at that magnitude of the ag show, but it has some elements of vendors, food vendors, retail vendors, fun castle, face painting. So we do have some. It's really a community event that
Hmm.
again I think people have yearned for years, and it should be great. It really should be great. And I'm
Sure.
just happy that we're able to do it. Right.
Definitely. Well, I know you're not a one person show. Take us through that committee that has helped to work tirelessly to put this event on.
Yeah. So again, it's the Welcome Home Show committee, and I mean, we play to our strengths, right? We've been doing this for a while now, and everyone knows, every year, this is your role, this is your role, and people just, again, just rise to the occasion, and this great committee of men and women that don't necessarily have skin in the game anymore, right?
Mhm.
Their kids used to ride, and it's really just a passion and really a passion for this committee. We're like family, right? I can tell you, we have meetings, and meetings to 12 a.m. Right? That's
Oh, wow.
because we'll work, and then we just love to be together and socialize right after. Of course, the last few weeks we've had bouts of COVID. So we've done it virtually, and we feel a little cheated that we haven't been able to get together. But we're trying to stay safe and well, so
Mhm.
we can all show up on the weekend. But and then we bought some young blood, right? So we're trying to again think succession plan, right? And train up some of our young folks that used to ride, right? And get them involved. And not again, this the whole premise of the show too is to give back, right? So we're hoping that they stay on and stay committed, and then we can slowly get out of this, right, and start
Right.
handing over the reins. But it's a very strong brand. Like I said, people, you put Welcome Home Show on the calendar, and people cannot wait to get to it. So the committee is great. Yeah, great committee.
All right. Well, again, all the best. We'll be in
Thank you.
attendance. We'll see you there. What's your role for the 2 days? I know you're just as active as anybody else. So
Yeah, so just anywhere, wherever I'm needed. I'll have me a radio. So wherever I'm needed, I'm going to be there. There. I'm show director on as if you want to give myself a title, show director, and that's why my daughter's riding my horse. But as I said, she rides it better than me. So yeah, so I'm going to be everywhere and just helping where I can, right? So
all
everyone
right.
has a role to play, but we all support each other.
Sure. So Botanical Garden, Saturday, Sunday, 9 a.m. start. Saturday will be a little longer than um, Sunday, but hey, thanks
Yeah,
to our
that's
welcome
my
home show.
Shalita. She's one of our committee members. Yeah.
Sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
All right. So again, on Saturday, 9 o'clock, Sunday, 9 o'clock, Botanical Gardens. Have fun.
Thank you. We will.
All right.
Talk
Enjoy your
soon.
day, folks.
Thank you. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye.